What's up, everybody? On this mileage unknown, I'm in the garage working on Pops 56. Now, I'm doing something that we've shown on the channel a whole bunch of times, but this time it's going to be out with the new and in with the old, so it's definitely a little different. But before I flip you around and show you what we're working on today, do me a favor, like, subscribe, hit the bell to get the notifications. If you like seeing what we do, definitely subscribe to the channel. It helps keep me motivated making these videos. So I'm gonna flip you around, show you what we're actually gonna work on today. Ever since we put the big motor in Pop's car, it's kind of fought us. It'll run okay, it will run rough, it'll run okay, it's all over the place. And the out with the new, in with the old that we're gonna deal with today is I'm actually gonna pull the carburetors out of Pop's car again. These were those super cheap CIP1 carburetors that I bought just to throw in here and see what was happening. See if the car ran. And it actually ripped really well for a while, but honestly, I feel like these carbs don't want to stay adjusted. Nothing feels like it's adjusted correctly, and it just is a fight where I want to hop in Pop's car, go for a drive, and not have that fight every time we go for a drive. So the in with the old are these beautifully restored 40mm Dellortos. Now, if you guys have been following along, hopefully you watched my silly YouTube short where I kind of did an homage to A Christmas Story with the lamp on these carburetors, but they truly are just restored to next level. And honestly, I mean, the throttle operation feels so smooth. It's crazy how nice these feel. Now, like I said, I'm not going to record a whole bunch of me pulling the carburetors out of the car and putting the new ones in, but hopefully we'll get the, the finale once everything's in and hooked up and running smooth. Now, these carbs were restored by Rick Hunt at Rick Hunt Industries. I'll put some of the information below. I found him on the Samba forums, just seeing some of the other beautiful carburetors he had restored and just knowing I needed a set for Pops 56. Now, part of the reason why I wanted a set for Pops 56 so bad is I actually got to drive Speedy for a week or so, and it has a 1776 in it, dual 40mm Dellortos, and just the smoothness of the carburetors made me want them. I mean, that car is so fun to drive. When you want to be mellow, it's mellow. When you want to rip it, it rips and calms right back down to mellow if that's what you're after. Trav's 55, also, it's a 1915 40mm Dellortos. Same thing. It rips, it cruises, it drives smooth, it does what you want it to. And honestly, the Dellorto carbs were one of Pop's favorite carburetors, and so it'll be good to get some Dellortos back on Pops 56. And I'm at the point I wanted to drive so well that I might get these on, get it fired up, and even take it to somebody else and let them just fully dial it in, because I don't know if I have the patience to really dial them in the way that they should be. I can make a car run pretty good. I just don't know that I'm making it run as optimum as it should be. So that's going to be it for right now. Like I said, I'm going to take my time putting these on. I'll show you the finished product once they're in, and hopefully we get to hear it fire up, and maybe I can make them run good enough to go for a sweet cruise and see how it goes. One more thing I really wanted to address when I put the new old carbs on this one is the throttle cable tube. If you look at the original one that was in there, you can see all kinds of cuts and rubs depending on, and some of them are really deep. Sorry, I don't have two hands to show you, but some of them are really deep in this, and that's because of the angle that the throttle cable would come out on dual carb setups. So I got a roller throttle cable tube. Got a nice little roller right there. This one came from Joe. Let me read. Came from Joe Bent's Enterprises. It's one I found on the Samba. I'll put a link to it below. I think Limebug and a couple other places make them as well. But this one looks great. I just got to screw it in, so I might have to pull the coil and stuff so I can get a little bit better angle there. But I think that'll be a good upgrade in, you know, what potentially was holding throttle cables open, causing the throttle cable to get cut up prematurely, because, I mean, you can see some of those grooves are pretty bad. And it's hard to keep stuff adjusted when the throttle cable hangs up on you. And one more thing I noticed with these cheap carbs off, one, the gas that's going through Pop's car is filthy. I mean, new gas these days just seems to oxidize really quickly. And unfortunately, I haven't driven Pop's car enough, so the gas goes bad a lot quicker. But I noticed, so one side, this was the driver's side, and it doesn't look too bad. Now the passenger side definitely looks worse, but the thing that got me was the center between the two throttle bores, throttle plates. It definitely looks like I've had some fuel leaking and some issues there, which, you know, could be part of why I have a hard time getting the car to stay dialed in. If you got air leaks and fuel leaks and weird stuff going on in different places of the car, it might idle good, might run good, kind of, until you put your foot down and then it starts sucking air and doing weird stuff. So, you know, hopefully the Dellortos are gonna help with some of the weird issues that these cheap Chinese carbs have had. Whew, okay. So we're at a little bit of a new development. And I had even talked about maybe taking the gas tank out of Pop's car before these carbs go in. I'm gonna flip you around and show you guys a few things that I've never really seen this bad on, well, any Volkswagen. I mean, mind you, the motor in Pop's cars, you guys watched the video when we put it in. When I got the motor and trans from the rollover car, it had maybe 500 miles on it. So I'm guessing Pop's car has, let's call it 1,500 miles on it now. Maybe, right? Around there. I'm gonna flip you around. We're gonna look at a few things that have probably been causing a lot of the problems all along. And now I'm kind of at a weird spot on where we go next. So I got the manifold off on the driver's side. And look, you can tell there's fuel leakage and stuff going on, right? But look at the inside of the manifold. I mean, it's hard coated. It's crazy what's going on there. Okay. I mean, I'm all about bad gas being an issue, or, you know, gas going bad over time, but that's coated. Coated. Now, let's take a look down here. Let's see if I can get in. Hopefully the camera angle doesn't go wonky. But look, I mean, we got the same nastiness going into the head. I mean, bad. Same thing, super coated. I mean, it's like baked on, hard on, coated. So I decided to look at a possible culprit being the tank. And, oh, my flashlight's dying. You can see bottom of the tank. Let me find another light. Okay. So you can see the bottom of the tank. doesn't look too bad. But now start looking at the side of the tank and what looks like maybe the coating from when the tank was, you know, cleaned and coated at some point. I think the coating has fully been disintegrating and running through the car. So at minimum, I'm pulling the tank, it's getting cleaned, and we're going from there. My concern is how nasty is the actual inside of the motor at this point, the back of the valves. Everything's got to just be coated, and it's like rock hard baked on there. On a motor with 1,500 miles on it. I can tell you one thing, these carburetors, they're not going on there until that tank's cleaned.